All right. Good evening. Here we are. Autumn in Appalachians, where heritage meets the hunt. Hope everybody's doing good. Good evening, friends and neighbors. Welcome back to the Raven County Rag, where community, culture, and conservation come together right here in the heart of southern Appalachia. I tell you, there's no place I'd rather be than this part of the world. These mountains, these people, and this sense of belonging. As always, our guided words remind us of who we are. Like minded people with common interest in hunting, fishing, protecting our community, culture, families, and environment. We exchange ideas, resources, and information. So, grab your coffee, settle in, share your stories in the comments, your hunting tales, fishing luck, or memories of Rabun days gone by. We love hearing from y'all. Hope everybody's doing good. Myself, I've had quite a hectic week. Let me get these headphones off because they confuddled me with the feedback. And remember, I'm out here on the satellite, so you know what? Y'all hold on a minute. I'm missing something. I'll be right back. Sorry about that. Been absolutely crazy around here today. I was installing a new light for the studio, and the dadgum program that I had to run all the lights just totally give out on me. And man, I had to go in and reprogram them here in Studio B and in the office. So there was about, let's see, 9 different lights I had to reprogram, and that's a darn pain in the butt. I tell you what, frustrated. On top of that, my internet router, I've had it so long, and then I tried to log in to get it going, and it wouldn't let me log in. I'd forgotten the passwords and security. They said you can't, it's too bad. So they've trapped me into buying another router for my darn internet. I just need to call old Matt out here and have him come look at it and plug me one in. I tell you what, I need to call him tomorrow, maybe set up for next week. But anyway, got the road done this week. Half a day, one day was just the blade cutting the ditches. Another almost a full day out there with the box scraper and getting it, tearing out the old mashed in gravel and bringing it up and spreading it out. And then had a culvert that got covered up, and then the water was running down the road and hitting that culvert was covered up, running across the road, following that culvert, and ditched it out. So I had to dig out that culvert, and something had run over that culvert at some time, a dump truck or a road grader or something, and mashed in one end of it. So I got the bucket end of the little loader on that little Kubota I got and pulled it back out and dug them out real good. And I guess after the rain we got coming in, I think on Sunday got rain coming in, I have to get back out there and dig it out again and make sure it held up through that little bit of rain till it gets settled in where it can handle it. But anyway, whoo, man. Tomorrow. Yeah, I got some stuff to do around here. I'm gonna wash that old tractor. I'm gonna pressure wash it and put it away for the winter, I hope. I told the neighbor, I said, if if they want it, anybody wants that road done again before about March, they just gonna be out of luck, because I'm gonna put my tractor up. I'm tired of digging around out there and that stuff. I do it 2, 3, 4 times a year, and it wears me out. That little tractor got shocks like a darn old hardtail Harley, man. Beat the darn devil out of you, and my back hurts for 2 days after fooling around with that thing. Anyway, that's where I'm at. Y'all send me a comment. Let me know you're watching. I'd like to hear from you. Well, it's here, ain't it? It's coming up on us this Saturday. Deer season is upon us. The gun season, anyway. The bow season's been open quite a while. I need to do something about this microphone and all this death stuff. I've been working on it all week. I had a microphone wire. It was bad, and I couldn't get that thing right. There was so much noise in it, and I was having this microphone. And it was a darn cable. It had a broke wire in it, and I spent a darn hour and a half, 2 hours trying to figure out what in the hell was the matter with the audio in this unit. And finally got that figured out. That's another thing that was a pain in my backside. Just been one of those weeks, and you're supposed to, they judge you by how you let things bother you. Boy, that some of this stuff, especially today, I went upstairs, made hot dogs, didn't have no hot dog chili, and I was making some coleslaw to go on them hot dogs, and I was spilling coleslaw on the floor. And I was chopping some onions, put on them old dogs with no chili, and darn dropping onions on the floor, and having all the trouble with all the darn old technological stuff down here in the man cave. Boy, it was getting close, but I got me a belly full of hot dogs now, and I think I'm going to be all right. Hey, how did y'all like the new the screen I had up? I'm going to try and do them every week. I couldn't do it without Pluriforia, and that's her there holding the old Foxfire book and holding the lantern of knowledge, and there's beautiful Appalachians in the background, and there's a rendition of my old self there. She's the one who come up with this. Y'all know she's artificial intelligence, or what do you ever want to call her, but I give her a name so we can have more. They learn from you. These machines, they learn from you. They're going to behave the way you behave. So if you're a nice, kind, and friendly person to them and thank them and all this stuff, they're going to respond in like kind. There's a wife. What you doing, Kim? Oh, man. She's down there putting trash away for me so I can tote that off in the morning, huh? Yeah. That's why I think I better got talked into going grocery shopping for me. Anyway, boy, that was a mess, all that stuff. Anyway, here we are, but the old deer season's opening up tomorrow. That's on the Saturday, 18th October. Marks official opening day of Georgia's statewide firearms season for deer hunters. And that'll be from October 18th all the way clean up into January 11th, 2026. There'll be hunters across the state will be in the woods chasing them whitetails. Now remember, Rabun County sits in the northern zone, and the acorns are falling thick. Brother, they are. Them in the darned old, I went for a little march the other day to Little River up in that area, and a darn old muscadines was so thick on the ground, they was dyeing the asphalt purple where they was falling out. So, and I ran across a couple good-sized bucks as I was making. And them does, I always stand there and look at me as I walk by. But you could tell them bucks was being a little anxious, if you catch my drift. But anyway, those acorns are everywhere. That means the deer are feeding in hardwood draws and lower oak flats. This first week should be prime time. I've had some hunters report that early rutting behavior near persimmon and warwoman areas. Some light sparring and rubbing going on. Cooler mornings in the mid-40s should get the deer moving after sunrise. All right, what time we got? Son-in-law was talking about old 7-pointer out here. He's gonna take the daughter out there and let her take him. And I was teasing the wife. I said, or call him up and tell him I was in the backyard, and that old deer came in the backyard, and he walked up, and I petted him on the head and stuck that 22 45 in his ear and pulled the trigger. Y'all come get this thing. She says, you ain't gonna do that. I said, I know I ain't, but it'd still be kind of funny. But anyway, deer season, everybody, you can't shoot with a darn rimfire anyway, and that's a shame. I got a 22 mag, I guarantee you I could shoot a deer with. Won't be no trouble sending it right down the eardrum. And that's a shame, and I guess it's okay. It doesn't bother me one way or the other. If I ever got in a tight, that 22 bag is sure to take care of any kind of business I think it needs to take care of, and the bullets are relatively cheap. Anyway, you know what? I cleaned that 22 45 that Ruger 22 auto feed, 22 long rifle auto feed, and I said, man, that darn clip is dragging. And I was flipping through the algorithm the other day on YouTube, and the old boy was tuning up the magazines on those Ruger 22 45s, and I think I'm gonna pull them magazines out and see about getting them cleaned up and tuned up. I did a live stream on that when I was cleaning the 22 Magnum rifle and that little Ruger 22 45. I think I might just do that, get them magazines out and do an overhead like I did on cleaning those guns, and sit here and chat with y'all. Maybe I'll do that sometime next week, maybe early in the week. Get an evening and come down here and tune that thing up. I need to get some blue, cause you got to do some scraping and some not grinding, but filing around those feed stacks and stuff like that to get them tuned up, get the sharp edges off, and then you got to sand them down, and then re-blue where you sand it, and polish. You got to polish it after you do that. Of course, you got to polish it where you sand it. Get them stove stacks, the tops cleaned off real good and get them real shiny, and re-blue them and re-oil them, put them back together and see if that thing will feed anymore. I have noticed a time or two when I was shooting that thing that it would jam, and me messing with that clip the other night, it felt like, it felt gummy, man, and I ain't fired that many rounds through it. So matter of fact, got a little, there it is. This thing right here jammed up in. I don't know if y'all can see it. Probably too. Look at a dent in the side of that casing. I don't know if y'all can see it or not. Now I ain't got no focus camera. I got another little old camera I need to put up here for that kind of thing. Show y'all. I guess I could fire that old camera up. I don't know. But that thing jammed up in there and dent that cartridge, and I'm glad I saw that. I'd hate to try to feed that thing. It'd sure enough cause a jam if I was in a. That's one of them you put to the side and fire it as a single maybe. But it's dinged up in a couple different places. But anyway, we're talking about deer season. I got carried off in some other direction talking about cleaning the clip and tuning the clip on a little old 22 auto feed. Anyway, let's move along. The archery season is still open. You can shoot archery all you want all the way into January 11th. Same way with the bear, but now the firearm season has come in. That'll be coming in on Saturday too if you're a bear hunter. That gun season opens, and the squirrels still out there. Them little tree rats out there climbing and making all kinds of racket in the evenings. Old squirrel will mate twice a year. They'll have to, what they call them, litters for squirrels. I don't know, but they do it twice a year. They'll have them in the nest over the winter, and they'll be running around and time them little fellas out there making fools of themselves, and then they'll have another batch sometime in the I think summer, or summer. It says here, I have lost. There. Sorry about that, boys and girls. Darned old thing is jumping in and out. Anyway, squirrels running through February 28th. Now, rabbit season, it don't open until November 15th. And I don't know what happened. I had a couple of little rabbits out here. I ain't seen them in a while. They weren't very afraid of nothing. I'd go out there and, go out to the man cave. I don't like to use the bathroom in the house when I can go outside and use the house. That's a standing up kind of bathroom, that is. But I've gone out there plenty of times. They just watch me and I'm watching them, and they never ran away. But I ain't seen them in a while. So anyway, rabbit season opens in November the 15th. You fur trappers out there and you fur bear and trapping guys out there, the season opens, legal season, that is, December 1st through February 28th statewide, but there is no closed season for coyote, beaver, raccoon, or opossum on private land. All right, and now I was out, I think that's Tougaloo Lake I was on the other day. When I was on my little stroll through the woods there, and them darned old bass were on that top water. You could do some business with them on the top water. And they were out, and I don't know, third of the way out, middle of the lake. They were doing some work. They say the crappie are hitting jigs near submerged brush and 12-15 foot of water on seed. Lake Rabun, channel cats are running strong after dark on cut bait. Anybody's interested in doing that, that's a little tidbit for you. Tallulah River, of course, as always, is cold and clear. We hadn't any rain in a while. It's probably good and clear now, good and cold. We ain't had no rain to muddy it up. And I've been meaning to get out there and do some I need to, you got to go to the fishing, cause the fishing ain't gonna come to you. I tell you what, that's the thing about it, boy. You got to make that time to go do it. It's like going to work. You got to be at work at 8 o'clock in the morning, then you got to get up and go, and you got to put it in your schedule. Same way with fishing, I checked on my worms the other day. They doing pretty good. I loaded them up with some cardboard and newspaper and some vegetable scraps. I got them in an old coffee can over there in the corner. There's probably 50 or 100 red wigglers in that old Folgers can. They're doing all right. I checked on them the other day. They's in a big old wad around that. I thought, what was it that I put in there? It was either cardboard or vegetable matter. They was in a big old wad in there. I shook them all out and added some fresh dirt in there. So I need to shake them all the way out, put nothing but fresh dirt in there, and get them casings out and start putting them casings aside for the garden, for the seeds that I'm going to sprout probably starting early March, mid-March, somewhere around there. I just thought, had so much rain this year, the garden didn't do well. But anyway, talking about deer season. Somebody said the opening day of deer season is like Christmas mornings, except you sit in the dark, freeze your toes off, and hope your present walks by before daylight. Or as one old timer said, the deer ain't afraid of hunters. They're afraid of pickup truck tailgate slamming at 5 o'clock in the morning. That's what they're afraid of. I've been in the darn tree stand years ago, and you hear them old boys and getting out of bed at daylight. They supposed to be deer hunting. They rolling around and starting a fire and coughing and hacking and rattling around whiskey bottles and beer bottles. And now I probably hung around with a different crowd than most of y'all did. But anyway, I always, when it was time, I was in that stand. I believe in doing it, having a little fun, but by golly, you better be ready to get after it. Anyway, nobody said anything about the the new card I had that Pluriforia made. Let me put it back up there. Let you see it. Yeah, there she goes right there. That's her rendition of me in beautiful fall colors there. She's got the light of knowledge, the lantern of knowledge. She's got the foxfire book in her arm. Pluriforia is a Greek term, which means knowledge and information and forthcoming with or sharing. That's what the term Pluriforia, and it is in the female, what do you call it? The gender. So Pluriforia. So that's how I came up with it. She's artificial intelligence. She's a large language model that I use. I do several podcasts a week or several live streams, or two live streams, 2 videos and 2 shorts. So I'm quite busy getting that stuff out there, and I know what I want to say, and I give her the main goodies of the body, and she'll put together some verbiage for me so I can present it. At least give me something to look at when I do present it. Keep me on track. Helps me out. She helps me a lot keep myself in order. Some people are opposed to it. I use it as a tool. It helps me get through a lot of things faster. Now you have to read and you have to follow up and make sure you're not giving bad information or false information. But it helps me with the verbiage. But anyway, we are moving along. It is 6:25. And remember, we're here every Thursday night from 6 o'clock to 7 o'clock. Boy, I thought I was pushing it, getting here on time tonight, messing around with them darned old lights and stuff. I wanted to get them done so I didn't have to fool with it when y'all still got the background music. Let me listen. Y'all, I tried to. Oh, I do hear the background music. I could change it now too, y'all. Listen to that. I could change the background music. Yeah, I'd put on some more. And I think I got some, let's see. I got some water flowing. That's the old boy I got the other morning pulling up out of the drive up the road here. That old whistling diesel boy, he was just sounded like my tractor out there trying to pull that darned old gravel. I thought that was kind of cute, so I loaded it up for y'all. Anyway, I'll put that music back on. I appreciate y'all humoring me. I'm trying to make this podcast or show or whatever. I'm trying to add some spirit to it, and if y'all got some ideas for me, I'll sure take them. Turn that down though, all right? How's that? Y'all let me know if that's too loud and bothering you now. I'm on a learning curve here. I am no expert. I will be one day, because I'm going to stay with it. And maybe one of these days y'all start piling in on here and making fun with me or at me. I don't care. And have a good old time. Anyway, where were we talking about? The pickup truck gates slamming and the boys getting up at daybreak when you're supposed to be deer hunting and making it through the woods. And you know what? I got up, I get up and dark 30 and get my tree stand before daylight and hear them clowns messing around at camp, shoveling pans and knocking pans around and hacking and coughing where they's smoking and drinking all night. And then they go to deer stand, get there about, half hour after daylight and take a nap, and then come down at lunchtime and Then they'll go about 1 o'clock till about dark, and then they're back down to camp, building fires and shooting the stuff and having a good time. And that's part of it, man. I ain't critical of that. That's the way it ought to be. That's called men. And there's ladies out there. That's just called a social gathering now. And the side benefit of it, if somebody gets a deer and you have deer heart stew, that's okay too, you know. Anyway, that's where we're at, slamming them old car doors. Y'all send me a story about what guys do to keep you up and mess you up when you're trying to deer hunt. Now, we're talking about hunting, okay? We're talking about hunting. And when we talk about hunting, we have got to talk about safety. So let's mix it up this week. Not a lecture, but just a checklist from one hunter to another. Know your target and know what's beyond that target. Before you pull that trigger, make sure you know where that bullet's going. Even if you don't know you're going to hit the target, there may be something behind it. So always know what's behind your target. And if you got to cross a fence or a creek or anything like that, take that bullet out of the chamber. Don't be crossing no fences or nothing like that with a bullet in the chamber. You trip up and fall. There's more accidents happen like that. Older guns and the safety ain't all that good, and the hammer comes forward. Blah 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 blah. 1,001 things that can go on, and you don't want to shoot yourself or shoot somebody, so unload that darn thing before you cross any fences or creeks. You ought to be walking like an Indian anyway, and not enough scared deer. And if you're a tree climber, check them strands, check them stand straps, check them ropes and harnesses. Listen, a $30 harness is cheaper than a hospital bed, all right? So make sure you checking all that gear. Now, I'm a safety guy. That's what I'm known for. And I make sure that my guys are checking their gear, and I'm no different when we're in the field. If I see somebody got some wore out, raggedy old stuff, I will say something. Say, buddy, your life is hanging on this thing. You need to... They ain't got to listen to me. They can tell me, they can say, kiss my boo 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 and go on their way, and that's all right. You know, I did my best to educate them, and I give them the information, and it's theirs to do what they please. If something bad happens, and I'll have to be the guy, you know, maybe I won't have to be the guy that goes tell mama that buddy's laid up in the hospital with a broke neck or arm or leg or something. Anyway, communicate. That is really the thing is, why did that is really the thing is communicating. I got to do something with this. You hear that table bang? That's the loudest thing. I don't know what to do about it. Anyway, I'll work on that, but communicate. Tell someone where you're going and when you'll be back. That way, if you don't get back in the time that you say you are, they can at least try and raise you on the cell phone. And if they can't do that, call the buddy you went deer hunting with to check on you. And if they can't do that, then they drive out there and check on you, or call the sheriff or the game warden or something to just check on you, make sure you're okay. They ain't trying to get you in trouble. They love you and worried about you. So make sure you communicate where you're going and what you're doing. And that blaze, make sure that you got that blaze, that orange blaze. How many square inches is it? I forget. I know in construction it's 500 square inches. But make sure you got that blaze on. Them old deer colorblind anyway. It ain't going to make no difference. And I know I've been talking about this stuff since the deer season starting to get warmed up, and I'll continue to talk about all this stuff. I believe in hunting and I believe in harvesting, but I also believe in having a good time. I believe in having a good time, but I also believe in and safety and responsibility as well. Moving along. And as my granddaddy used to say, the woods will still be there tomorrow. Ain't no deer worth a lifetime of regret. That's true too. I talked about that in the Safety Channel this week. Old boy was welding up some pipe, and he was a pipe fitter. That was his job. And he raised his old hood one time to check on the alignment of something, and he bumped that darn electrode on that steel, and it flashed him, burned his eyes. Said it felt like sandpaper. He said he never did get his eyes back after that. He's out of work for a couple of weeks, had that old arc burn or flash burn, whatever you want to call it, in his eyes. So it don't take but 1 minute, 1 second, and then you have a lifetime of regret. And that's the same when you're out there in the field and you're hunting. So that's that of that, and I ain't gonna talk about it no more. It's 6:34 in the evening. Been rocking right along. Y'all let me know how the sound is. Let me know how the video looks now. I know I'm on the satellite and it'll stutter and buffer and all that stuff. Let's talk about our home here, Rabun County. Y'all, have y'all been up on up Moccasin Creek? Across that trail goes up to Hemlock Falls, all up in there. And several other places here in the county. There's 4, I think, CCC camps, and that's the Civilian Conservation Corps, and that was during the Great Depression, or shortly after the Great Depression, when people associate October 29th, 1929, or whatever is the day of doom. Actually, it didn't have that much effect on people who were invested in the market. It took a year or two for normal people to start feeling it. And, say what you want, but Franklin Roosevelt, he put together the Civilian Conservation Corps. That was one of them. There were several activities that hired men to do work in the country. And from 33 to 42, before we entered World War II, there were 4 CC camps operated in Rabun County, and they employed hundreds of young men during the Great Depression. Those crews built miles and miles and miles of trails and maintained national park roads and built national park roads. The roads that we enjoy traveling around in and on today in the county were built by those young men in the CCC. I think there was 148 miles of new roads through our mountains, and maintained many more. There's an article in the Clayton County Tribune this week on that. I read that earlier today and passed it along to Pluriforia, and she pulled that out for me to put out here and share with you guys. So y'all keep there are probably not any of them any with us anymore. If there is, they're very few, and they're very old and fragile. But those men made what you have today as far as the national parks and the roads. And so next time you're going out there to up Moccasin Creek toward Hemlock Falls, or you're going out Wildcat, or you're going up Tallulah River Road, or you're over there in War Woman and all those places, you just think about them guys. And boy, they had some steam shovels and they had some diesel bulldozers and all that, but a lot of that work, that stuff was done by hand. Another thing they did is they laid the groundwork for Black Rock Mountain State Park, and they built, I don't know how many fire towers across the ridges and the mountains around here. And many of the trails and stone bridges we still enjoy today were hand built by those CCC boys. Pick, shovel, and heart, the old saying goes. You know, without them, Rabun County might look a whole lot different than it does today. And you know, I don't think it'd be a bad thing for us to go back to that kind of thing. I don't mean to get political or nothing, but these old boys laying around in the county jail and stuff, they need to get some physical exercise and learn some skill sets and things like that. And I think it'd be a good opportunity for them to learn how to build roads and be good foresters. How to be lumberjacks, foresters, how to build roads, how to take care of the natural environment and protect the streams and the rivers and the lakes around here, and all that stuff that's required to take good care and be good stewards of our environment. I think it's far better than them sitting in the darn jailhouse watching Jerry Springer or whatever in the heck they watch on the TV all day and eating bologna sandwiches and peanut butter and complaining all day long, and then they get out and go do something dumb again. Y'all tell me what you think. I'd like to know. I love them boys in the jailhouse just as much as I love anybody else, but I don't think it's right that they get to poke around and take advantage of people like you and me who's out there breaking their back, trying to make a living, and part of our earnings have to go to maintain them, and we ain't getting nothing for it. That ain't right. That ain't right. We need to stop that. Anyway, I'm getting on. I'm moving on out of there. The old boys from CCC. Thank you. Thank you. All right. You know, let me show y'all this again. Yeah, see Plerophoria there. She's holding the Foxfire book in her arm, and she's got the light of wisdom. And, Foxfire been lighting the way for mountain wisdom since 1966. Foxfire has kept the Appalachian culture alive. What began as a classroom project at Rabun Gap Nachuchi School became a national movement of storytelling. That's a wonderful thing. We need to pay attention to our past and our mistakes we made in the past so we don't repeat them. But storytelling and preservation. And I've talked about it, and I've probably talked about it every week because that's such a important part of our heritage here. You know, from the clothing you wear to the foods you make to the harvesting you do to what kind of plants you grow in this kind of environment. If you didn't have the luxury of a grocery store, how would you survive? That's the question. You know, I can walk you out. I want to do that one of these days. Take the old camera out there and show you. I cut the grass. All I got is woods grass. I ain't going out there and planting no darn fescue lawn. I do have some fescue. I got some Bermuda. I don't know where it came from. Maybe a bird dropped it. Maybe somebody planted it along the way. But my yard is covered up with plantain and dandelion and wild onion and clover. Any kind of thing that grows naturally in a meadow is growing right here in my yard. And up there, I got a little old meadow on top of the hill now. And I'll cut that meadow maybe 2 or 3 times a year, but most of the time I'll let it go kind of wild. I got some wildflower seeds up there, and I got an old collard green patch up there. It ain't done nothing yet, but I'm planting it in gravel. That's the only thing is where they built the road and stockpiled gravel on that road and had it old turnaround and everything else, and it's growing back. And I've got a couple patches up there that I'll till up and throw in some topsoil. If I got some field dirt somewhere, I'll throw it in there and just kind of mix it up, build up the soil. Maybe one of these days there'll be a nice patch. But I do have a couple more patches of wildflowers. I got a big old patch of wildflowers up there, and I keep that for the birds. You know, right now they're and all through the winter, and I don't like I let the pods stay, the seed pods. Now the zinnia and all the wildflowers, I probably got a bunches of zinnia. Those, and I'll go out there and I got some zinnia seed left from if anybody wants some zinnia seed, come see me. I'll give you some. But you know, my wife picks them all summer long and puts them in her house up there, and it's nice. Got some other flowers up there, some irises and some I got some gardenias I need to transplant. I talked about that in spring and I didn't do it. And I don't know, somebody let me know, can you transplant gardenia in the fall? Because they need to be transplanted. They're getting big and bushy, and they ain't in them little bitty buckets, you know. I got them buried in the ground, but they're in those little buckets. I know they're getting root bound. I'd hate to see them die because of my me neglecting them. But anyway, somebody out there who's watching this or scrolls past after this is over, let me know when what you think about that. Now, I know I'm all over the road here. I try to keep it in the style of just being who we are and living in the area that we live in and the things that we do to get by what our ancestors did to get by. And that's why I get off on those tangents. But anyway, I like to keep the birds and the wildlife fed, and they never eat all the collard greens. Matter of fact, I've had a couple batches of collard greens so far, and the bugs ate them all down to the veins, and they'd come back when the bugs got full. They'd come back and grow pretty, and I got enough out there to get me a big old mess of collard greens, and I got some old ham hocks at the grocery store the other day. I gotta go to Tucker on Saturday. Doggone it. Yeah, I don't want to do that. You go to Tucker. Who wants to go to Tucker? But I got a phone call and I was asked to make an appearance there, and it's a sad occasion, and my dad, he's far away, and he would have been there. I know he would have, but he's getting on up there and he don't like to drive as much. So he called and asked me, and I called my aunt and I told her I'd be there. So god darn. Don't get me wrong, I'm going to enjoy it, seeing everybody. It's just that 2.5 hour drive down there, visit for a few hours, and that 2.5 hour drive back. That's what I'm not looking forward to. Anyway, I can get up and make me some breakfast on Saturday and head on down. But the Firefox Museum in Mountain City now holds cabins, artifacts, and thousands of oral histories. You know, I'd like to get involved with that somehow. If I could take this video equipment that I've got and cameras and all this stuff that I've accumulated over the years in my business adventures, I'd love to sit down and record some of that stuff and maybe I don't know if Foxfire has a YouTube channel or not. I need to look into that, but I'd sure be willing to help them get one going. I tell you, I really would enjoy doing that. Maybe commit one day a week and just set up cameras and some microphones and let somebody tell a story. You know, give them a time frame, say 20 minutes, you know, put together a 20-minute thing. I'll help them even do that, put together something, just a story, a 20-minute story. So if y'all know somebody involved with that Foxfire, and I'll keep this up long enough, and eventually I'll get to where we'll do something with the Foxfire and the Rabun County Historical, because I believe it's important that we record that history and have it passed down. But anyway, from moonshine steels to quilt frames, the heart of it all, the belief that our heritage isn't something to look at, it's something to live. My sister posted something the other day. She said that she heard working with her hands was good for endomorphin release or something. I don't know all that chemical stuff, but she's gotten her quilting frames out and she's made 3 quilts, and Yeah, women get together. She got a women's group, and they get together and do that. And that's something I always said. Great grandmothers and grandmothers when I was growing up and doing it. Here she is now. She's a grandmama, and she's starting to do that kind of thing now. She'll do some pickling and she'll do some jam making and all that stuff. And I'm glad to get it. She lives up there in the country and Tennessee, up around north of Nashville. So raising old cattle and living old farming life, and they seem to enjoy it. And I live out here in the country too, and I enjoy it. I'm not one of them city slickers. I can't stand being around a bunch of people, man. I always got some issue. Somebody's always mad, want to fight about something. I don't want none of that. Anyway, we're gonna move right along, cause you know what? It is 6:48. That means we got about 12 minutes left on this show, and it has flown by. It's either because of my gift of gab or we've had a lot to talk about. But anyway, we're moving along before I run out of breath. In the Clayton Tribune this week, they've got a couple things that they're going on, and one of the things that's going on, and put it in your calendar, of these Mountain Fall Marketplace. That's on Saturday, November the 1st, in the Raven County Pavilions, downtown Clayton. It says it's going to be over 100 local regional vendors, and featuring crafts, food, and homemade goods. I might get down there and see that. Admission is free, and it's right in the middle of peak leaf season. Boy, them old peepers will be rolling up through here before you know it, and doggone it. Also, Rides of Christmas Past Toy Drive and Car Show, hosted by the Clayton Police Department. I bet them's condoned drag racings I hear down the hill here on 441 on the weekends, boy. They get them old boys been working all week on their cars, and they get out there and run them up and down that road. You can hear them gouging on them things, scooting along pretty good. Don't bother me. Anyway, I wonder if they condone. They help block off the road and make sure there's no accidents and that stuff. I hope they do. It does return this year after a hugely successful event. Dozens of cars and burnout. I think that already happened. Contestants it's raised over $2,000 for underprivileged children. I wonder if that's a tax deductible thing. I need somebody to look into that for me. He's got a little play coming up this Friday and Saturday, final weekend at the Dillard Theater. It's called Four Old Bras, the Miss Magnolia Senior Citizens Beauty Pageant. Yes, sir. It is a senior citizen, a beauty pageant. I wonder if they got a senior citizens Mr. America. You see my old floppy head? He look like a pear. Got two skinny legs and big old belly. Ain't got no butt. Got a big old belly. Walk out there and strut around. Anyway, it's final weekend for it at the Dillard House. Dillard Theater, excuse me. That's Friday and Saturday, 7 p.m. Sunday at 3 p.m. Adults, $25. And it's $15 for students. I'd almost be willing to pay for 2 or 3 students to go. I think, my kids were growing up. We did a time or two go to them little small theaters, and I think they rather enjoyed it. I know I did. All right, Toledo Falls School announcing the opening of its new counseling center to help students with academics, college prep, and emotional wellness. I got something for the emotional wellness. At least mom and dad ought to get old butt whipping when they was early. When they was young, they wouldn't have no emotional wellness to worry about. They'd be too busy staying out of trouble. Staying busy, you doing laying around this? Boy, get out of here. You ain't got nothing to do. Go cut the grass. Here, come on. Let me show you how to start this thing. I know that's the way I was treated. Didn't hurt me one bit. I didn't like it then, but now that I growed up. But anyway, Faith, Domestic Violence Awareness Month. Trunk or treat at the Recreation Department on October the 20th from 5 to 8 p.m. And Purple Thursday is October 23rd. Wear purple to show your support. Now, purple, I understand, is a regal color reserved for royalty. Oh, you got the Veterans Dinner November 6th at 5 p.m. at the Dillard House. Free for veterans, $10 for spouses, and $25 for guests. Let's see, I could pay for, if you just wanted to pay for veteran spouses, you could spend $30 and get 6 people fed. That's cheaper than McDonald's. Shoot, man. Yeah, my old buddy. His wife told him if he ever brought home another deer head, she'd leave him. He said, well, I'm sure gonna miss him. Yeah, trappers say coyotes are smart. I say they just know how to spot a man with a leaky thermos. Yeah, that old coffee. I tell you what, if you don't smoke and you don't drink, I'm not opposed to either. I've done both of them. But if you don't drink and you don't smoke, my wife now, man, she could smell a cigar on me from 3 weeks ago. But if you're in the tree up there and old boy cracks that thermos in the tree stand, if you can smell it. You ever looked at a deer's nose? They do most of their survival by smell and hearing. Their eyesight is poor. They smelling that coffee, and they know which way the wind is blowing because they live in nature. So they're not going to go that way toward the coffee smell. They're going to go the other way. That ain't natural. That ain't their environment. They're going to do something different. Anyway, the leaky fire. And a dog, you ever seen a darn dog can smell for a long way. Boy, they can put that nose in the wind and smell. They can smell a rabbit and move that way. Anyway, old fisherman was bragging about his trout. And they said it was so big it needed its own zip code. Funny thing, nobody saw it. And his camera run out of film. Doggone it. What is film? What is camera running? What is film? Somebody help me understand what film is. Listen, you know what? I didn't do the Foxfire Boys. I was going to look them up and get me some of their music and see if I couldn't put it on here. I'm writing myself a note. Foxfire Boys. Sample for live stream. Sample for Rabun County Rag. Yeah, I got me something to do in the morning. I got some other stuff to do in the morning. I'm going to take off the trash, go for a walk. I think I got my wife talked into buying the groceries. That'd be the first time in a year. That'd be nice. Mountain born and mountain raised. I need to look that up. If they want to hit me for a copyright infringement for helping them sell their stuff, then well, by golly. By golly. If y'all know any of them boys, tell them I'd like to have them on. I like to talk to them and put them on here and promote them. Y'all know any of them boys. In the Foxfire Boys. Y'all get in touch with them. Tell them getting hold. Excuse me. Tell them getting hold of me. I think I'd love to have them on there. A couple shout outs here before we start wrapping this thing up. The volunteers at Stokoa Creek Park Cleanup. Your hard work is exemplary. We thank you for doing that. Also, we thank the old Clayton County PD out there for turning horsepower into holiday joy. It is getting to be Christmas time, you know. I need to consider that. Probably won't make no more money this year, and I need to make some contributions. I'll probably do something like that. All right, every listener keep every listener keeping Appalachian tradition alive. I appreciate y'all. There's some folks out there now, and I appreciate them. And they still living life, man. And it's hard work. It is hard darn work living that life. Oh Lord, I got to hurry up. All right, where's your favorite opening day stand or fishing hole, and what makes it special? Send me a note in here. Comment. Put me something in the comment. And who here still remembers their first deer, first trout in Rabun County? I remember first trout. I encourage you, man, attend here and let's do some live chatting. Matter of fact, I got it set up now. I've been practicing it. It needs some work, but I've got it where you could call in. You get in touch with me and give me your number, or I'll give you my number. And you call in on my phone. I can route it through this thing I got here, and you can talk to all your friends and neighbors on this whatever you call it, live stream podcast, whatever you want to call it. But you can do that now. That's possible. So y'all come on and call in and let's share some of this stuff. I really would love to have you. Anyway, it's time to wrap this thing up. It is 7 o'clock. We're a community of like-minded people with common interests in hunting, fishing, protecting our community, culture, families, and the environment. We come here and we exchange ideas, resources, information. Now, folks, as the days get shorter and the leaves turn gold, remember that life in these mountains isn't about rushing. It's about belonging. Whether you're sitting by a fire, walking a ridge, or teaching youngins how to fish, you're a part of the living story of Rabun County. Until next Thursday, keep your powder dry, your lines tight, and your hearts light. And most importantly, have a grateful day. Have a grateful week. And we'll see you next week, next Thursday night at 6 o'clock. This is Bubba. I'm signing off.